So what is your girlfriend upset about? I thought the girlfriend's nipples were out.
Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. That's the point
Her
I'm trying to
nipples were.
make.
I thought you were. I thought she
Yeah.
was. I
Like,
thought
what are
the
you upset
argument was
about?
that she wanted to have her nipples out. You didn't want.
Nah.
So what? But I'm confused.
Yeah,
What was
thank
she
you.
upset
Yeah,
about though?
yeah. That's what I'm
No,
trying
I'm
to.
just saying maybe you're not explaining the whole story.
No,
Like,
she's upset about the fact that I said nipples and areolas.
is she there? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Untitled News Show. I am your host, Nikisha Bond, and I am so excited to be with this fabulous panelist that we have here today. And we have some very, very interesting news to bring to you today. And first, we're going to start with asking the man. Now, we only got one man, okay? We only got one man here, but he's a very powerful man. And the question that we want to ask this man today is something that came up in the very last podcast that we had. So let me just set the scene real quick, and then I'm going to hand it over to the man to give us the answer. The last episode, we were having a really great conversation. And in the middle of that conversation, one of the women on the panel were talking. And actually, Lamar was the one who asked this fabulous question. He said, "Are you single or are you married?" And I stepped in and I was like, "Why are you asking her if she's married? What does that have to do with what she's saying? Blah, 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 blah." And so we just kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent. And it kind of brought it all back to us to say, like, why do men ask that question? Because that's not the only time that it's happened. And I'm not the only woman that it's ever happened to. And so we're going to actually mute out and we're going to let the one man, Lamar, a real person, we're going to let him kind of explain why men ask women their relationship status. And then we're going to get a chance to ask some questions and maybe even give him a little pushback if he is strong enough to bear the burden of those women. Okay, Lamar, the floor is yours. I'm going to go ahead and mute out. Give us your answer. Why do men ask their relationship status when you're talking to a woman?
All right. So the reason why men ask this question is because most of the time, a lot of times, women who are single are delusional. They have their own reality that they live in. You know what I mean? And so therefore, when you ask a serious question, you know what I'm saying, and you ask this woman, because if she's maintained a relationship, then obviously she's been with a man who's been logical and they be able to maintain a relationship together because she understands and respects his logic. So therefore, they're able to commune and make this relationship work. So that's why 9 out of 10, when a woman is single, she has her own logic, what she calls logic, but actually she is her own reality. So therefore, like certain things that wouldn't make sense to the regular person will make perfect sense to her. I would love to put that in example if I can think of one. I guess I can try to think of it as I continue this conversation. But yeah, that's why we ask. We ask that question: are you in a relationship? Because therefore, she has some form of submissive to logic. Something that is concrete that makes sense, other than her emotions and how she's feeling. Because a lot of times she makes her decisions off of based on what she's feeling. I feel like this should be this, or I feel like this. No, well, what is it? Let's talk about what it is. Stop talking about your feelings, because your feelings are manufactured thoughts that you manufacture based on scenarios that you came across in life. Doesn't mean that that's the actual, principle. So that's my point.
So, am I hearing that what you're saying is that when you're talking to a woman and you feel like what she's saying doesn't jive or is not logical to you as a man, that you want to see if she has good relationships with men to see if her perspective is grounded in what you consider reality versus what you also consider her just being delusional. Is that correct?
Right on the money, Keisha. Right on the money. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when a woman says something and you as a man feel like it's delusional and you then confirm that with her being single, do you feel like statistically speaking those things line up? Is that why you come to that conclusion?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I feel that the way that a lot of things go is putting women in a higher position than men. It's always been that way. It seems like it's been that way for years. I don't know. Before, as far as divorce rates, child custody and all that is always favoring the mother, and that to me is a power play, and it puts the women in the position to kind of dictate how things could be because I have to do such and such to try to keep my family. I have to do such and such in order to keep this relationship. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm always in a situation where her heel is on the back of my neck. You know what I'm saying? And if I don't move a certain way, you know, she might feel like leaving. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, fair enough. So, ladies, questions for the gentleman here.
So we had kind of discussed this, I want to say like last week a little bit. So what about in the situations where, like Keisha gave a good example, she's having a conversation with her husband and she's describing a situation that pertains to a certain woman. I still don't like, I think I kind of get it sometimes, like the relevance of that, but like I have a problem with the word delusional. If you could kind of give me a little bit more.
All right, I got one
that.
today.
Yeah.
I got an example that just happened today with me and my woman. We sitting and we're getting a pedicure, right? And so a model calls me. Everybody know I'm a photographer, I'm a videographer. I shoot content, right? She knows this. This is my business, right? So I haven't talked to her in a while, right? And we conversating, and we came to a part in the conversation where we started talking about some pictures that I wanted to post of her that I had, and I started talking about the way the pictures look. So I said that your nipples are showing, your areolas around the, your blouse and everything's exposed. I really can't post those type of pictures, you know what I mean, and those type of content, right? And so, and then that was pretty much in the conversation, other than other couple of topics that we had to talk about. And so when I left, I told someone wanted this position. Her disposition is different, right? I'm like, what's the matter? What's going on? She's like, she ain't saying nothing. She ain't saying nothing. I'm like, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, you start talking about nipples and areolas. I say, yeah, that was a problem with the picture. You know what I mean? And so she's upset. I'm like, well, what are you upset about? You know what I mean? This is what I do. You know what I do this, right? And I showed her the pictures of the girls. This is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And so this is pictures I took way before I even got with you. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what's the problem? Whole attitude. I'm going through this bullshit right now. Literally right now. Of a conversation that I had openly, because I'm not willing to hide nothing. I'm truthful, I'm straightforward, I'm gonna be who I am, and I ain't changing unless it's disrespectful. I asked her, was that disrespectful? Was that rude? You know what I'm saying? And she was like, yeah, it's disrespectful. It's like, what part? You know what I mean? Because I'm describing nipples, because that's what they're called.
Wait a second.
Areola, that's just called.
Wait a second. I don't understand. So you're having a conversation with a model and you're telling the model that she can't show her nipples?
No, I'm telling her that the pictures that I've already taken of her is exposing her nipples and her areolas. You know what I'm saying? I'm having this conversation
with the model.
With the model, yeah.
So what is your girlfriend upset about? I thought the girlfriend's nipples were out.
Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. That's the point.
Her nipples were. I thought she was. Yeah. Like, I thought the argument was that she wanted to have her nipples out. You didn't want. Nah. So what did? But I'm confused. What was she upset about though?
Yeah, that's what I'm
No, I'm just saying maybe you're not explaining the whole story.
No, she's upset about the fact that I said nipples and areolas.
Is she there?
Oh, she's in her room right now. I told her to leave because I didn't want to be in the situation of saying something I'm not supposed to say.
Because I would like to hear her side of the story. Because I feel like women are not crazy, but like I feel like there's a little gaslighting going on here. Like I would be interested. Well, I feel like you're gaslighting us a little bit. Like you're making it seem like there's really no like. How can you be sitting there having a conversation with a model about the model's nipples? Right. I don't understand what your girlfriend got upset about. Is she upset that you're filming models and their nipples? That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like we're not hearing what she's actually upset about. Yeah. I'm sorry, we're going a little off script here, but I'm a little invested in the story and I kind of have to feel like I want to play referee. Like, is she really upset?
Or she may not be able to articulate why she was upset. Right?
Good point. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this would be interesting because maybe this is like, part of the challenge that men and women have when they're communicating with each other, because something obviously made her upset. It has to do with nipples. I don't know if we have the full story of what it is, or is this like a piece of the story? And like, that's just the straw. You know how sometimes that's the straw that broke the camel's back?
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. I wonder if she's going to get on.
So are we doing relationship counseling now, or?
Because
we have to, we opened it up.
I feel like help is needed here. We have one man on here and he's struggling. We can't, as women, we should do our duty to help them heal their relationships.
Here we go.
Right?
Give your point. There you go. Give your point, babe. Tell the story.
Hi. Hi, sweetie. What's your name?
Adrian. Nice to meet you.
Adrian. Yes. Nice to meet you too. So we heard Lamar tell his story, and we just feel like I feel, and the ladies kind of agree with me, that there's something missing, because obviously you're a smart woman. So if you're upset about something, made you upset. And he didn't seem to know what that was, but you were clearly upset. So I was just trying to figure out, like, maybe to help enlighten him on what actually happened, because sometimes as women, we expect men to read between the lines, but they're not very good at that.
At all.
So maybe we can help infer what you meant and maybe communicate it to him.
What did he say? What did he tell y'all?
So and I was a little confused on the story, but what I got was that you guys were sitting down together. He had a phone call and he started talking about the model and her nipples and how that was inappropriate. And then after that phone call, your mood kind of changed. And at first I thought he was talking to you about your nipples in a photo. So I was like really confused, but then he said it was about the model. I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So that's kind of the story that we got.
No,
that's the abridged version.
So no, I think that he's very flirtatious, and he's like I think he thinks that he's still single, which we can make that happen. However, he was talking about how he couldn't post her picture because her nipple was out and then she had this big area around it. It's like, okay, really? So that's inappropriate to me. I'm sitting next to you in a nail shop. You're getting your feet done. And it's inappropriate for you to talk to somebody like that. And then to be on social media asking someone, are they single? Why do you need to know that? Are you single? Do you need to be single? Because we can make that happen once again. So that to me is very inappropriate to me. And yes, I was pissed off and I'm still pissed. And he's like 1 foot in and then 1 foot out the door at this point, because I'm done. So that was the conversation that it transpired, which like, you're like dumb, don't know what's going on. Oh my God, what did I do? Oh my God, I don't know what I did. So you're playing stupid. That's my point, Oh. So
okay, well that's
what it was.
Okay, that makes sense. It kind of sounded like a straw that broke the camel type of back.
And then also, you moved to Grand Prairie. So you're like, I moved. No.
She's like, I got the mic now. No, we're about to go to therapy. Keisha Bond opened up the therapy box. So we're here. Lamar, let it happen. She needs to get this off her chest. Let's do this in a safe space, Lamar. Let her do this in a safe space, Lamar. I'm gonna help you.
He moved. I moved to Grand Prairie. So it's like he is a single person. So if that's the case, then that's what you need to do. You're not in a relationship, so then you need to be single. Let me let you go ahead and do that. You understand? So that's where I am right now in this.
Now, have you guys defined what a relationship means to each other? Because maybe he feels like his definition of a relationship, you guys meet that, but maybe yours doesn't.
You're asking him the question?
Either one of you. Just curious if you guys had that talk, because it sounds like maybe you guys are on different pages on the nature of the relationship, like where you are and where you want to be. Like,
I thought that we were on the same page, but apparently not. So maybe that is something.
What page did you think you guys were on?
Well, I thought that we were exclusive, but apparently if you're having conversations with other females about different topics and things that, you shouldn't have a conversation, because I definitely don't have conversations with other men about stuff like this.
That's for his work though. But that's for his work. But that's for his work though.
But of course,
right?
But no, not all the time. It's not, because why would you want her to be single if you're taking? If you're trying to get photos from her, why do you know she's single?
Because the degree
of
the photos.
We're talking to her.
I can give you a good example. Part of the reason why Lamar needs to know is because a lot of times women will try to barter their sexuality for his photos. So he has to understand like what their relationship status is to see if that's what she's trying to do. Because I've worked with Lamar a little bit on like helping him get his business together. And one of the things that I noticed was like all of his models want to get work done for free. And I'm like, well, why would they think that you want to get work done for free? I'm like, oh, because a lot of people exchange favors, for the work. Exactly. So I think he has to just be, a little bit more careful and know who he's doing business with, because if she's a married woman and maybe she's taking provocative photos, you don't want her husband coming down here and thinking things are inappropriate, or if she's single, or if she has, because a lot of times he doesn't know what type of situation he's going to be in. And because of the nature of the pictures that he takes, they are a little bit sexier, so he has to just be aware of that. That's what I would think is more for a safety issue.
You would think that he would already know this, though. I mean, you're supposed to be grown. I mean, so you're in a professional business. So therefore, there are some things, and there's some things you don't do, some things you don't say in you're in a relationship, or you're taking pictures of somebody naked, or whatever the case may be. I mean, it needs to be upfront that, hey, you need to pay me for this. This is not free. We're not doing anything. I don't need to know if you're single or not.
Right.
Not my business. We're doing a professional business job. So let's do this and get it over with.
Yeah. And I think I know that he's working on that, because we're working on getting him a contract together for just those things that you talked about. So I know that he's definitely aware, of the issue. I think what's really interesting about this conversation, first of all, I appreciate you guys taking the time to have these conversations, because I'm just fascinated by relationships and stuff like that. I really am. And I just wonder, do you feel like maybe you're putting a lot of pressure on the relationship to be, super, super serious, and maybe it's just like in a phase where that's just not where it's at right now?
Are you asking him or me? Both.
She's been talking to you the whole time.
Yeah, I'm mostly talking to you. I mean, I've known Lamar for a long time, so I know he does have that flirty behavior, but that's kind of like his personality. Like, he's been like that since he was a kid.
But you're not you're not single anymore, though. So you
no, but I guess I'm just saying, like, some of the stuff that you're describing, like, that's just his personality. That's not like he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that on purpose. Like, that's just how he talks to people. I don't.
You don't talk to men like that. That's how he talks to women.
Yeah,
I mean, but I think he,
so
I think it's just, I mean, but like, are you just saying like you want him to change his personality? Because maybe you just don't like who he is. I don't know.
That may be what it is at this point. You might be right.
Because because a lot of times when we find something and like we're like seeing the same issues in somebody, it doesn't have to be that they're a bad person. They just might not be the right type of person for us, for where we're at in our lives. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
they could possibly be what it is.
And I'm not saying that you guys should break up. I'm just saying that sometimes an acceptance of who people are will let you see the good and the beauty in them, because he's not going to change. He's a 40-something-year-old man. He is not going to change. He's going to continue to be exactly who he is. And so part of us as women, we have to decide, can we deal with that? And that's because that's really where our power lies, is to say, does this relationship serve me? And if it doesn't, the only power you have is just to kind of walk away. But like, he's not going to change. But, he definitely will try, because he's, got you on the phone. He's having this conversation with you. So obviously he cares about you. He wants to have you in his life. So I don't know. Do you just think that maybe, like, do you think that you could learn to just love who he is and be okay with who he is? Or do you feel like he needs to change in order for you to be in this relationship?
I mean, I love him as a person because he's really been there for me. But I mean, at some point in time, I mean, you get fed up with the same shit every day, all day, you know what I'm saying? And so, but for the most part, he is, he's a loving and caring person, but there's just things that
But nobody's perfect. Oh, Jobina, go ahead, girl.
I was going to ask if there was any solitude in his transparency, meaning that there are things like that conversation happened in front of you. Do you find any solitude in the transparency?
Yes. I think that it's just totally, I mean, just disrespectful. I mean,
but he's not lying to you.
No,
I mean,
that's true.
Sometimes you have to, like, I love what Jobina just said. Like, sometimes having a man who's honest and you can count on his honesty, and he's not having these conversations behind your back. He's not, going around, sneaking around the corner. I would be more concerned. Well, I mean, I would just say if he's, maybe, what's so interesting about you saying that? We were watching a video on our last podcast, and the psychologist was saying that if you punish the truth, are you not forcing people to lie? And I thought that was a really, really interesting, because if you punish him for telling you the truth, like, this is his business, this is the things that he has to do. But if you punish him for that, then aren't you forcing him to lie? Because you're not just accepting him for who he is and finding the beauty in that and being in love with that in a way. Because you say he's a good man, for the most part, and there's not a lot of really good men around here. So what if he has a couple of things that kind of get on your nerves? Like, are they gonna, I'm not saying that he's gonna change, but like you can change. I don't know. Go ahead, Jabina.
And I'm curious as to why we use the word disrespect in this situation, because I don't know if it aligns from my perspective. Why do you choose that word, sweetie?
So, because of the simple fact that are you married? Do you have a boyfriend?
I've been and done all of those things.
Okay, so if you were, and I'm not trying to be, rude or anything, but if you were in a relationship right now and you were sitting next to your boyfriend or your husband, and he's talking about nipples and Oreo, what would you say? What would you think? What would you say?
If it's in a business content, nothing. And he's having that conversation in front of me, nothing. He would, the content that I understood was specific to his job, and I would find solitude in his transparency, meaning that he had that conversation next to me, and the content was specific to what he was doing. So it wasn't like he was having a random conversation with someone about nipples. He was very specific in why he had the conversation about nipples.
And so he's gonna go and shoot her again on Saturday.
So that's the problem then. That's what I was trying to get to.
No, that's really not the problem. The problem was that you were actually talking about nipples, and I mean you're in an open space, and I'm pretty sure I know people heard, but however, so I shouldn't be upset about any of this, right? I should be okay with all this because it's business. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if it was me, I would humble myself to the perspective that he had the conversation in front of me, and there was no sexual content surrounding the nipples and the areola. So there was nothing sexual there. Did you find it was a sexual conversation?
The way he talks, it is, yeah. The way he talks to other women and things like that. So maybe I need to figure out if this is something that I really want to deal with or not at this point, like you said, and let him go ahead and do his job and be great at what he do and be, and I'll be okay doing me. You know what I'm saying? So that way I don't have to worry about any of this because it is a bother. And then I've come a long way since I first met him with him. Photography and all the females, and I mean I've come a long way. I have to admit that. However, there's only so much that I will take, So
all right, thank you, babe. I appreciate your
no.
Your
We're not,
assistance.
no.
We're gonna end this right now, and I'm gonna continue with you. All right.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for your honesty and your insight and your reflection. We really appreciate that because it's good to as sisters to kind of get together and have conversations and making sure that we are understanding, because I'm kind of in the camp with Jobina. If it's work related, and honestly, if he's talking about how inappropriate it is for her to have her nipples out, I'm kind of a little bit even more encouraged by that conversation, because it's not like he was saying, "Hey, girl, we need to see more of your nipples. Let me come by on Saturday so I can see
that would be that was her. Though there's been other ones that what, that's okay. Maybe we could talk without him, and I can get a woman's point of view. So I will reach out to y'all later. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
All right, enough of my personal life. It's for the world to see. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you for that content, Lamar. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was
y'all
really
really
good.
Really in on a nigga today.